Welcome to the EV Café Takeaway. This is a podcast focused on that zero-emission future that we all hope for. I am Sara Sloman, and most weeks you'd expect to have John Curtis or Paul Kirby with me, but this time, it's a mega special episode because we've nabbed the wonderful Sam Clarke. Hi, Sam.
Hello. Good day to you both. How are you?
Good day to you too. Very well, thank you. And actually, each week we are joined by pioneers, collaborators, and innovators of our industry. And this week we have Amy Carter.
Imposter syndrome kicking in. Thank you, Sarah.
Already, no way. Now, Amy, hit us with your job title and what you do there.
Yes, I'm the EV Operations Manager at DAF Trucks. Alongside my colleague Adam Bennett and Lewis Jones, we head up the EV team for DAF. Part of our job is to assist our dealer network in sales. And in my case, particularly coming from a sort of after-sales background, I'm heavily involved in dealer readiness and making sure that our training for technicians is where it should be. But I'm also quite heavily involved in the marketing side of things as well, whereas Adam focuses more on chargers and truck sales.
You are a font of all knowledge. I have learned so much from you this year because unlike Sam, trucks are not my wheelhouse. Of course, I deal with the very opposite end of the spectrum to you. I'm on the payments and software right at the end when those trucks are finally on the road. And we've crossed paths many, many times. And friend of the show, fellow listener, and we support her too, Liz Allen, does a Full Circle podcast. I think that's what it's called. You were on that show. And I texted you immediately to say, oh, please, can we go further into all of the things that you touched on with Liz? Tell us a little bit about your history and how you got to be at DAF.
Well, I mean, I was a mechanic for many years, for 14, 15 years. Then I got into technical training back in 2000, actually. So quite some time ago. I was a trainer for 20 years, so mostly with petrol cars and diesel. But then around 2011, while I was working as a senior trainer for Audi, I accidentally fell into e-tron technical launches, and it turned out that it was something I was really good at. So I kind of fostered it a little bit and sort of funneled into just working specifically with EV and hybrid product, and it just turned out to be the best move I'd ever made because I really got into it then. You know, I think if you'd have asked me about sustainability 20 years ago, I'd have probably said it's a small block V8, not a big block V8, because that'd be better for the planet. But, I've learned so much in the last 15, 20 years. And now sustainability is the core of my belief system, so much so that it spilled over from just my job to how I live as well, you know. So, yeah, it's pretty much my jam.
That's really heartwarming to hear, Amy, as well, I think, because evidently there's passion there in terms of really getting your head around solar sustainability all those years ago, but also doing it now, right? And I think you're in good company, don't worry. You know, we're all very, very passionate about making a difference. And it's great to have people like you, doing that in the truck world, because Sarah, you said at the beginning, my wheelhouse, it's Amy's wheelhouse. She knows how to deal with trucks. I'm trying to sort the infrastructure out that goes with them. So we're all playing our part in this. And trying to make sure that this particular sector, which is, as I said at an event yesterday, it's still a very, very small percentage of the total HGVs on the road that are electric. So we've still got a long way to go, and we all need to push forward to try and make that happen.
Definitely, yeah.
You say it's not in your wheelhouse, but I mean, there's no point, Amy, putting a load of trucks on the road if you're not doing the infrastructure. And then, it's a massive team effort, isn't it? And actually, I was thinking carefully, Sam, if you could give us a bit of a background into the ZHID project that you're involved in and how that might affect the DAF world later.
Yeah. Well, firstly, Amy's forgotten more about trucks than I'll ever know. Very, very briefly, as Amy's well aware, that there is a project that's being run at the moment called ZHID, which is the zero-emission infrastructure, heavy goods and infrastructure demonstrator program, which is a £200 million government-funded pot to try and support and catalyse the electrification of the hardest to decarbonise vehicles, that being the 40 to 44 tonne electric tractor trailer units. And I'm privileged to have been one of the representatives of the winning and largest project, which is the Electric Freightway. Thank you. Which is one of those four projects that is trying to electrify, both from a public charging perspective, so hubs at motorway service areas in our case, at depots, at hauliers depots, and then of course the sale and the lease of the electric vehicles, like the DAF electric range, to get these vehicles on the road. And we need all of them. We need all of these different sort of key variables. We need public charging, we need depot charging, and we need the vehicles. If we can do that, which is what we're all doing, then hopefully it's the catalyst for change. It's the, like I said earlier, it's a very small percentage of the market, but we've all got to start somewhere, and that's what we're all trying and do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Amy, we saw each other last night at the Green Fleet Awards, and you guys were up for an award. I know that by the time this comes out, we'll know who the winners were. And now, spoiler alert, this time it wasn't DAF. What were you up for, though? What was the category?
It was HGV Manufacturer of the Year, and to be fair, the Daimler truck is a very worthy winner. It's a very nice truck, and it's as Sam said, it's a time for collaboration. It's not a time for working in silo, and it's not a time for brands to be precious either. I think we need more electric trucks on the road. There are circa 500,000 trucks on UK roads at any given time. Delivering about 80% of what we consume as humans, and the more of those are electric, the better for all of us. Not just from an emissions perspective, but thinking of things like air pollution in city centres and noise pollution, which also has an effect on human life. The more manufacturers get these products out there and get them out into the right hands as quickly as possible, the better it is for all of us.
Totally good. Didn't you win last year?
We did win last year, but we're just styling that one out. It's like we're kind of veterans now.
Oh,
yeah,
so
I feel your pain, because I think GridServe, I think we won last year as well, but we were shortlisted and didn't win this year either. So Instavolt took the gong from us, but well played to them as well.
Sam,
right?
I used GridServe last night at Warwick Services, and it was great. So just there you go.
Yes, that helps. Thank you.
It definitely does. I was in my, I just made it in time for this podcast. This is real life, right? I was on the motorway. I was due to arrive home with minus 24%. So I had to go to the next nearest one, which in this case was the incredible Hopwood Park. It's got 25 car chargers, but it's easy for me. It's easy for me. I drive a car, right? What's going on with the infrastructure for trucks? What can we expect by this time next year?
Well, I mean, if you'd asked me that question a year ago, it would have been a fairly sad story, to be honest. I mean, when we did our first EV rally, for example, the truck was fine, no problem at all, and it can use car charging networks. But it, of course, being a truck and being a 4.2 meter wheelbase, it doesn't sort of fit in the average charger bay without upsetting a lot of people and causing fights and all sorts of other things. So I remember. We were at a rival charging stop in Warrington, I think it was, and there was very, very close to an altercation there because we had to park a truck across 4 bays and people were not happy. Having said that, fast forward 2 years to where we are today, and we're about to see the launch of ZHID. As Sam rightly said, it's a project. There are four of these consortia. One of them is hydrogen specific, so that's sort of not really relevant to this charging infrastructure. But the other 3 definitely are playing a big part in putting infrastructure in that is specific to trucks. So it's going to be sitting around sort of motorway service areas and major trunking routes across the UK, which is going to really revolutionise the way we can use electric trucks, not just for last mile transportation or even medium duty, but really making long haul work for these products that are already out there. Yeah.
So Amy, a question for you then. You just alluded to it a little bit, but as you know, we've both been working on this for quite some time. In the last year, however, certainly the GridServe project has been in full flow. We've got a lot of orders now. One of the things I've noticed is that we've almost been a victim of our own success, in as much as we're waking the market up to the challenges that are coming down the road. And in some cases, that's meant that big businesses, in a positive way, have started to look really broadly at the overall roadmap. But the trouble is, we're trying to get this bit done first. I guess my question, therefore, is how have you seen the last sort of year evolve? Because I think with the ZHID projects, that's obviously a real catalyst for change. Have you seen a material difference in people's perception of EHGVs in the last 12 months?
I really have, yeah. I mean, from a broader perspective, I get a lot of people. I mean, for example, last week I was speaking at a sustainability conference at my university, and people came up to me afterwards during the networking event saying, "I didn't even know there were EV trucks. What's this about?" And I think within our industry, we forget that we know what we know. But when we move outside of that industry to the wider public, the perception is that cars are electric, some vans are electric, but you can't have electric trucks. They're just too big. And they couldn't be further from the truth. Electric trucks really work, and they're coming thick and fast now. Project Rapid sort of went quiet for a while, and now there's more talk about that being reinvigorated, and spades are likely to go into the ground either next year or the year after for that. And that will improve the motorway network quite a lot. If we do get that sort of HGV specific charging into the motorway services across the entire network of the country, again, alongside Z-Hit, that's going to really revolutionise what we're capable of achieving with these trucks.
I love that you went back to your university, and you don't know, Amy, I think something about you that I absolutely love is that you don't know how inspiring you are. And you've been stood in front of those people who are going to be hopefully joining us in our industry. Who knows? Perhaps you've inspired somebody to do that based on what you did. I myself go back to my university. I know, Sam, you've been invited back to yours, or your school at least. And we do need to do more to inspire what I call the next. So whatever we can do to share what we're working on, or how great it is to be in this industry, or our career paths. Did you have anybody in your life who was an inspiration to you, Amy?
Yes, not so much in the EV space. I think I've sort of created my own weather with that one. To be honest, it's gathered momentum over the years, but that there is a particular person that, and this is where I might need the tissues, that I not just an inspiration, but actually saved my life. So there's a lady called Sona Avedian, who's an American trans woman, and at my darkest point, I was searching for answers, and I came across this YouTube video of this woman's transition journey, and I watched it, and it was the 4 minutes that changed my life, because it was like watching my own story. It was me, into cars, into motorcycles, lifting weights, all that kind of nonsense, just to try and cope and fit in as a person, that you're not comfortable being. And then in the end, she's sort of this flourished, well accomplished sort of American woman. She's actually a former Marine, and I emailed her and I said, I don't know how many lives you saved as a Marine, but you certainly saved mine. And I want to thank you for that. So, she's my inspiration. And without her, I probably wouldn't be doing this podcast, if I'm really honest.
That is incredibly powerful. Thank you for sharing that. But you inspire us. You inspire me. You've been there for me before. We've had messages and talked about... it's a funny one, because our industry is incredibly embracing and welcoming and... Oh, sorry. Gorgeous. And
I want to hug you right now.
Virtual hug. But we have this incredibly impressive support network full of incredibly impressive people. And we forget, and Sam, you're included in this, that we're all pushing every day, driving for change, innovating, trying hard to kind of find out why things didn't work, and pushing through. And Sam, something I've shared with you, and especially you too, Amy, is sometimes we feel we're, as females in the sector, strong leading females, it's really hard to get our voice across. I speak to Lorna McAteer about this, who's also a very strong female leader. And we just need to get better at kind of celebrating our wins and our successes. And do you know what else? Putting your hand up to say, actually, I need some help. Who's in your support network?
You're absolutely right. I until recently, actually, I had a quote on my desk, and it's how I kind of get through things, and it's no one is coming. And it's because for the longest time, I've always dealt with my own problems, and I've never approached anyone else for help. And I'm learning now that the only way to really thrive is to lean on the people that love you and support you. And although I'm still getting to that point, so I'm not going to call out a particular person, but my daughter is my kind of my stick, if you like, so we support each other. She's an amazing young woman. She's 19 now, and she'll probably be so embarrassed that I'm telling you all this, but when the chips are down, she's the one I call I just want to hear her voice, and it just fixes everything.
Beautiful.
That's pretty inspiring. I don't know how I follow that, but I mean, one thing it does spring to mind, Amy, is that we operate in a very male-dominated industry. I don't know what the stats are, but it'll be 98% male or something. I don't know. It's a complete guess, but how have you have you found that over the last few years? It's evident from the people I see around you that they're, just incredibly supportive.
Yeah,
but he's obviously probably been on a bit of a journey, and and in such a male-dominated industry, has that been quite challenging at times?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone to great lengths to try and adjust those stats, as you can see, Sam. But the week that I transitioned, I won't say who I was working for, but you probably work it out from the timeline anyway. But so the week before I came into work as Amy, I was in a meeting with all my colleagues, and I put forward an idea for a product launch. And everyone's going, yeah, that's a great idea, great, and claps and sort of writing things down, and let's set up a second meeting to discuss the project, everything like that. And I thought, great, okay, that's great. Really felt listened to. I went into the exact same meeting a week later, having started my journey as Amy in my former job, and a similar conversation. I put forward an idea for a different launch, and there was barely a ripple of even recognition, never mind anything else. And then 5 minutes later, one of my male colleagues said the exact same thing I just said, and there was a huge round of applause. They all wrote it all down, and guess whose project they were with? And at that moment in time, I knew that I was going to have to work twice as hard as a woman to have my voice heard than I did in a previous life.
Yeah,
it's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, I know Sarah's there like a coiled spring ready to contribute to this, because I know this is something very close to her heart. So, Sarah, go ahead.
I'm just interested in your reflections as well, Sam, because I think, you asked Amy, what's it been like over the last few years? And I would say there's been, the last few years, a lot more conversation about this sort of thing, different needs for different people in the workplace. And the word booming was used, and they didn't mean the thriving nature of our environment. They meant voices. Some males have extremely loud, booming voices, and people like me have a small voice. I virtually never raise my voice. I never shout. I need a microphone. Even last night at the Green Fleet Awards, I watched the room sort of listening to John presenting, and when the kind of mic went down, they were able to throw their voice. So I like to think, I know, he really did. We love John Curtis and Paul Kirby and Johnny Berry and Sam and I. We're just such a great team. But the point isn't necessarily an emotional one. The point is actually about remembering that in a room, around a table, people have different voices and different confidence levels, and we have to proactively listen. Listening is a skill. You have to focus on what somebody is saying. Now, I've learned, much to my annoyance, that I'm somebody who feeds the ideas in. So if I want to take credit for that idea, I have to say it 2, 3, 4, even 5 times. I have to get it written down. I minute it. I email people later to say, remember when I said this idea? That's because I want the credit, because it was my idea. It was my brain that came up with it. And to watch somebody else take it from you, as you just described, feels horrendous. It's not necessarily a gender thing either. Everybody can do it to one another. It really isn't. So what I'm calling for in when I won the Woman of the Year thing, the hashtag then was embrace equity. And I think that's what I want. I want everybody in the same room to treat one another with that sort of equity. It doesn't matter who you are, how many years you've worked in the industry, or how loud your voice is. Give everyone the same airtime. And Sam, I do think you are really good at that. What's your thoughts on this topic?
I've just been thinking about that, Sarah, actually. And I think another element of it, I think, which is important, is that sometimes you portray an idea and people take it away and you quietly go, actually, yeah, that's quite a good idea. And then they find themselves repeating it later because they're just repeating the good idea of yours. That's not them trying to steal something. Just the other day, I was at Juice Event yesterday. Melanie Shufflebotham from ZapMap said, I don't stop to charge because I've stopped, which is an expression that I wrote and put into an article 2 or 3 years ago, and it's now being repurposed by other people. I think, well, that's lovely. That's not. I don't expect a recognition for that. It's never. But it's nice that I think in some cases it's not just that people go, that's a good idea, I'm going to have that. It's actually just subliminally going in without them even realizing it, and then they're bringing it back out again as their own idea, and it was originally yours. And I think there's an element of just needing to accept that. Sometimes that take the credit, even if you're not being given the credit. It's because it's gone in and somebody else is regurgitating your ideas because they've bought into the concept you just sold to them.
Yeah, humility. You talked about your daughter, Amy, and my daughter's going to be 12 next month. And I'm learning so much from her, watching her grow up, and she is at secondary school now, and their motto includes the word humility. We had this lovely conversation about it, and don't know if this crossed your path with your daughter talking about growing up, and I said, what does that even mean in the context of school? And she said, exactly that, Sam. Have the humility to realise that people aren't trying to steal your idea. And that's why I started my sentence with, I've learned that. So I've learned to not, I'm still learning to not take it personally, or not feel like as a woman I have to work twice as hard. I'm learning how to sort of pull levers and strings to get what I need out of my working life or my daily life. And your daughter, it's right that your daughter inspires you, because they are the next. And I've had the pleasure of seeing a lovely photo of her, and your beaming smile is absolutely everything. Does she take a proactive interest in your work?
She does, actually. And for a while, she wasn't quite sure what her direction was. She's tried a few things and it hasn't really fitted for her, but she's actually just signed up for a sustainable business course, which came completely out of the blue, because I didn't think that was something that was really in her wheelhouse, but it seems that she's really got the bit between her teeth for the climate. So yes, I don't know where it's going to take her. It's a level 3 course, but it does open a lot of doors when she's finished. So we'll see where it takes her, but I'm really, really proud of her. For taking that initiative to push forwards with something that's really close to both of our hearts.
I love that. When you were younger, you were able to dismantle, was it a carburetor, and put it back together or something? Go into that for me. What was your childhood like?
Yeah, so my dad used to take cars apart. He used to fix his friends' cars and stuff like that. I've been around cars since I was a toddler, really, but he'd give me carburetors, and I'd sit on, where kids get Lego, right? I'd get a carburetor, and my dad would say, take that apart and show me all the pieces and then put it back together. And my mum would just look at me like, I'm serving dinner on that table in like an hour. What's wrong with you people? So my mum hated it and my dad loved it. So yeah, but we figured it out. But yeah, I can still now, probably with my eyes closed, strip and rebuild a Weber carburetor or something like that. Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
It's not something to brag about though, really.
Oh, it's all part of development of all of us, isn't it? All the learnings of the things we did in the past, right? Speaking of past, what about the present and the future, Amy? What is coming next for you? Both, probably within the work life and elsewhere. Where do you see things going from here?
So personal life, my next big milestone will be graduation. So I'm currently studying business management at Buckingham New University in High Wycombe. So I should graduate hopefully in 2027. In the work journey, my focus right now is to make sure that all of our dealers are ready to repair and maintain EVs effectively. We have our DAF network, which is a award-winning network for our recovery system for DAF, and it's not just DAF; it's actually multi-brand. As long as you've got a DAF account, we will attend any vehicle basically. So it's quite a robust system that we have going, and we need to make sure that they're EV ready as well. So we're working alongside our partners in the dealerships to make sure that happens. Training our technicians, making sure everyone's safe as well as knowledgeable about our product, and then of course getting the product into the hand of our customers and making sure that they are effective in operation, and that we can prove with Zeehit, for example, that electric trucks not just work, but they are the right solution.
Excellent. So I've got an idea, Sarah, if you'll indulge me. I don't know how much time I've got left, but Amy, I'm going to put you slightly on the spot here and ask you questions that I always get asked. But because I'm part of the podcast here, I get the fun of being able to dictate some of the questions. So I'd like to throw a few myth busting questions at you and see how you get on. Right? Should we do it? All right. So batteries won't last in electric trucks. Let's start with that one. Yeah,
there was a report out this week that actually proved that that's completely the opposite, that actually EV batteries are lasting long beyond their predicted ranges. I saw, I can't remember the brand, and it's probably best not to mention it anyway, but they've done a study on a vehicle that done 200,000 miles, and actually the degradation of the battery was 2%.
Brilliant. Okay, next one.
So, yeah.
I'm doing quick fire. They don't go far enough.
They don't go far enough. Well, that's not about range. I mean, we could argue that fuel tanks are the issue then, couldn't we, in ICE vehicles? Range is about infrastructure, and we're all working to implement an infrastructure that works. And it's about changing the way we use vehicles as well. I think Edmund King summed it up perfectly. I don't work on battery range, I work on bladder range. You know, I'm going to need to pee, and while I'm peeing, I may as well top up the battery. So yeah.
And that is a lovely example that goes back to one of our previous points, because that's not Ed's phrase. I know where that came from, and that was the chairman of VW about 10 years ago. So he's nicked it, and I've also nicked that expression, that ladder range, on more than one occasion. So there's a lovely example of where we're picking up on other people. Back to the game. All right, trucks too expensive.
They currently are a very expensive asset. However, when you look at total cost of ownership over the length of the time you're going to use that truck, it will pay for itself and provide profit on top of what you would get from a typical diesel as well. So that's also a myth.
Oh, she's good, isn't she? Keep going. I love this.
Okay. I don't know. Let me think.
If I had a buzzer, I'd buzz it, Sam. You're taking too long.
Oh no! I had one and I've just forgotten it.
I bet we're talking about fires next, right?
Oh yeah, go on then. Yeah, they're all going to catch fire.
Yeah, that's all nonsense as well, isn't it? Have a look at you and McTurk's work, and look at what we're doing with lithium ferrophosphate batteries, for example. They're practically bomb-proof in Mr. McTurk's eyes, and if you look at the statistics against ICE vehicle fires, against electric vehicle fires, they don't even stack up. Honestly, every electric vehicle fire is a headline, yet every ICE fire is not. And that's the disparity between them. And it's basically there just to kind of create a narrative around the negativity of EV adoption, and it's nonsense. Everything can catch fire in the wrong conditions, but EV batteries are not susceptible to fire at all.
Yeah,
that's rubbish.
Okay. All right, I got another one now. I've remembered them.
Okay.
They're too quiet. They're going to run everyone over.
Too quiet's not a bad thing, I don't think. I think pedestrians perhaps need to take their headphones off when they're crossing roads and pay a bit more attention. I remember when I was at school, the Green Cross Code man teaching me how to cross a road properly by looking and listening. Well, if we can't listen, then we still need to look, right? I live in London. I kind of live between London and South Oxfordshire, but in London at the weekend, I see people walking down the street with just staring at their phone, not even looking where they're going, and they'll cross a road while still staring at their phone without even looking up. It doesn't matter what the vehicle is. I shouldn't have to rely on the sound of the vehicle to keep me safe. That is the responsibility of the pedestrian as well as the vehicle operator. So silent vehicles will make people's lives better because there's less residual noise in our area. But at the same time, it is the responsibility of everyone to be safe around them. So, yeah.
Okay, good.
Controversial.
I can keep going. You know, I've now got my brain in gear. I can do loads of these, but so tell me when to stop.
Just do one more.
All right, one more. Megawatt readiness, megawatt charging. Do we need it? Is it going to be needed? And a secondary question is, how are we ready for tacho breaks and the ability to charge vehicles whilst people are on their rest stops? So
megawatt, first of all, we have no plans for megawatt charging in the immediate scope of our product development, but it's been considered, definitely. I can't say any more than that at this point in time. I know the Daimler truck is megawatt ready, and I know that trials are beginning. I think actually this megawatt charging available, I think, across the country from next year in certain locations. I think there's a place for it. Do I see it as the largest solution? Not really. I think if we can top a truck up in 20 minutes, half an hour, that's great. Back to base and B2C for trucks is really going to be the sweet spot, I think. So if it takes 45 minutes to an hour to load a truck or unload a truck, well, that's a charging opportunity. So instead of putting the charger at the entrance to the facility, put it on the loading bay, so that while the truck's being unloaded, the truck is charging. And to take on your second point about tachograph laws, currently, if we have to switch from, so obviously we need a 45-minute rest every 4.5 hours. That's the law. But at the moment, we have to switch to other work in order to charge the vehicle. And if the vehicle takes 45 minutes to an hour to charge, that's other work on the tachograph, which means you can't actually make any money driving the truck. And then you can't class that as your rest break either. So you have to take a 45-minute break on top of that in order to be within the law. We just need the government to say, do you know what? That's fine. We just need to change a small piece of legislation so that the driver can plug the charger in and then get a sleep or rest in the back of the cab.
Well, when Sam asked you what you saw in your future, I'm annoyed that you didn't include storytelling or more time on camera, because I love it when you answer these questions. That was a really fun game, Sam. Thank you. And actually, Amy, didn't I message you to say I wish you'd read a storybook? Didn't I say that, something like that? Because I just love the flow of your voice, the tone of your voice. I can listen to you for hours, and I've taken in a lot of the information you've given me over the last couple of years. Now, we get to hang out a bit on the EV rally. I would love people to go and look up the footage of Team DAF on the various EV rallies. One of my favourites was when we went to Belfast, and we had so much fun. Give me your highlights of dragging that truck around. Actually, can we have the stats on the truck as well?
Yeah, so for the for 2023 and 24, we used the same truck actually. It was the 19-ton LF rigid. It has a 250 kilowatt motor, 282 kilowatt hours of lithium ferrophosphate energy on board. Batteries are around 2 tons of the total weight of the vehicle, so it still has a payload of about 11 tons, which is pretty good. I'm not quite sure what else there is to tell you. The range is around, it's 280 kilometers or around 160, 170 miles, depending on load and wind conditions and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's a pretty good truck. It's actually at the moment, that particular truck is with one of our clients, and they're using it to deliver bread every day.
Oh,
so
it's
still working hard every day, that truck.
Don't you have partnerships with Cenex? Did I make that up? I'm sure you do.
We did for that first rally,
gotcha.
the 5 capitals, So because the BET trial was still ongoing at that point, and Cenex were the leaders in that trial.
What's the BET trial?
So the battery electric truck trial was the first really Z-hit. It was the sort of first step for that. So to prove the efficacy of trucks up to 19 tons, we won the contract with Innovate UK to put 20 of these trucks out with local NHS hubs and local councils. And they're still out working with those people today. But we did take 2 of those trucks back because they were not quite right fit for the operation. So, for example, in the case of the one we used for the rally, the wheelbase was too long. It didn't work with their arrangements in their yard, so we needed to put a shorter truck into their operation. So that truck's been used for multiple operations, including 2 EV rallies, and it's never missed a beat. It's never failed. It's never had any kind of repairs or damage other than its normal repair and maintenance contract. So it's a pretty bomb-proof truck, that one. I'm going to say that now. It's going to fall over tomorrow, isn't it?
It's going to be headline news. I've got some funny memories of the rally. Well, lots of funny memories of the rally. I have the pleasure of co-hosting the rallies with John Curtis. So what I love to do is get to know all the teams, even if they're not my interview team. So I just really enjoy catching up with people. I've got this funny vision. We had a hellish day. We really had. And I saw you guys just having to block a load of the GridServe charger bays down in Exeter. And we were all racing back to the restaurant. So it wasn't anyone else there. I was there too. And I was on the other side of the car park eating KFC, watching everybody try and do this. It's just hilarious because we were given Teslas, right? So we were in a different charging bay to you. But the team spirit on your rally, talk us through, how do you keep the mood up? Because you go slower as well than everybody else. You can't go in all the car parks that we can go in. Talk us through it.
Yeah, it's interesting as well, because obviously Phil Moon, our marketing manager, tends to lead the team. So he'll get us up at sort of 5 o'clock in the morning, and we'll be the first on the road, and then sort of the last ones arriving at the last checkpoint. So you're absolutely right. We can't do every checkpoint. It's just physically impossible to get the truck into some of these places. And also, some of the charging opportunities don't work for the truck either, not because of the charger itself, but just because of logistics of fitting a large truck into a small space, really. So we are aware that we kind of miss the freebies sometimes. Like, we'll get to a checkpoint and everyone's gone, and it was like, oh, we missed the donuts. I hate to miss donuts, seriously.
You can't miss a donut.
It is a little bit hard, but I think we've got such a strong team within the DAF EV team and our wider sort of marketing team as well, that we just get on so well. It's like going out with a bunch of friends, you know.
I know. I remember ringing in. How you doing? How you getting on? And I think at that point it was just, you just wanted some quiet time. You were like, goodbye, Sarah. That was a funny day. My other funny one that I remember with you, we just crept down the hill in our lovely, wonderful, media crew Tesla and gone down. It was the Game of Thrones day.
Oh, yeah.
And I look up and I see this truck trying to come down this hill. And I thought, are they gonna do it? You really dragged it places I didn't think could go.
That was Jamie with the Mercedes, and we both looked at each other at the top of the hill, and we just looked and we went, no. All credit to Jamie Fretwell. He did an amazing job getting that truck down that road because it was practically impossible. We just felt that if we got to the bottom, we weren't sure if we could turn it around, reasonably and stuff like that. So we took the decision to walk down, and so glad we did because it was a beautiful spot, wasn't it? With that lovely lady fiddling
donuts
outside
down there,
the
that.
cafe. I got cake, and it was so good. Seriously.
Yeah. Amy, one of my lasting memories of the rally, of course, because we have something in common in this one in regards to you were driving one of the big extreme vehicles, as in the large ones, and I was on the smallest. I was on 2 wheels the entire rally.
Yeah.
And I did a piece to camera on myself. I think it was the penultimate day or the last day, I think, and I was riding along and talking to camera with my helmet on about the experiences of riding on 2 wheels. And then as I was going along, of course, where did I come? I came up to the back of your DAF truck, going down the same lanes as me. I just thought, how things have moved on, that we've got these really extreme types of vehicle.
Yeah.
And indeed, I don't know if you remember this, but I had in 5 days, I had one unscheduled stop. There's one stop I had to do. I wasn't expecting. I needed a bit of extra charge to get there. And it was a petrol station somewhere. God knows where we were in the country. And when I pulled up, there you guys were grabbing your sandwiches. And I desperately needed to charge, but you didn't. You were fine. You were just getting there, having a bit of a break, and we'll be all right. Yeah. We'll sort it out later, which was lovely. So, you were completely chilled out and quite happy in the sunshine. Yeah. So,
you look quite broken by that point.
I was a bit tired.
Everyone on that rally, though, was always looking out for you to make sure you were safe, and that we knew where you were, and that we could support you if needed. But you did an amazing job. You really did.
Well, I think we all
very
did in our own
inspiring.
Ways. Well, we all did it. My exploits on 2 wheels is one thing. You doing it in a truck, and then Sara doing all of that media time. They're all important. That's what creates these rallies, isn't it? It's all our our mutual ability to contribute is really
it is. And do you know what really strikes me about the rally? And I've done obviously the 2 co-hosting ones, and now the Welsh one as well. And it was really interesting to me that the teams do all approach these things differently, and so you should, because you've all got different. There's a reason why I get given the BYD seal or the Tesla Model 3, because apart from Sam last year, I think looking at the stats, I was the only one who did the whole rally and all the checkpoints, because I want to see what you're all seeing. I want to feel what you're feeling. I want to be the last person in. I'm with the crew till the very, very end, sometimes 10, 11 at night, because you lot are, because we're pushing, we're trying, we're doing something inspiring that we can take with us. And when I walked across the room last night, the Green Fleet Awards, to come and, bother you really, Amy, to be honest, and I saw you were wearing a tartan dress. Now, have you got Scottish heritage that I don't know about?
No, none whatsoever.
No, just a very nice dress.
I've got a bit of a thing. As I say, I grew up around cars, and me and my dad used to watch hot rod movies all the time. And I've got a bit of a thing for the 50s kind of rockabilly scene. So although I don't really engage with it that much these days, I'm a former motorcyclist like you two. I've ridden my share of Harleys and stuff like that. And it was all part of that culture, So I've spent many weekends at Santa Pod watching the dragsters and things like that. So it really is an evolution for me. I'll always love engines, but it's time for us all to move on, So it's part of what I love, if you like. I still love the style. Grease is the best movie of all time ever. Fact.
I should watch it again.
And Die Hard is a Christmas film. Just so I want to get that in there. So.
The funniest thing about Grease, I don't know if you've seen the meme going around, where they're like, were they trying to convince us that these grown adult actors were 16 years old and they look like we do on camera today, like pretending to be young?
They're in their 30s.
It's insane. Well, Christmas is a funny old time for everyone. And by the time this podcast gets released, it probably will be upon us. It probably will be nearly Christmas time. How is Christmas for you?
Good. It's going to be a quiet one this year. My partner's father's just had a hip operation, so we're going to be sort of nursing more than anything else. But and I'm not cooking Christmas dinner because that's a disaster. So my partner will cook. She's an amazing cook, bless her. So Yeah, it's going to be a nice quiet one this year, somewhere near Pinner, I think.
Please. I'm really pleased to hear that. The reason I asked is obviously on the EV Cafe, we do champion positive mental health. Christmas can be a really challenging time. It's a reminder of what we have, what we had, what we want, what we don't have. And I think every single year that goes by, it feels different every single time. So yeah, just a reminder to all the listeners that the EV Cafe and the crew are here to support you. We also are going to hopefully see each other on Christmas Day, aren't we, Sam? Because for those who don't know, we are together, and I will be cooking this time, which I think is a wise choice.
Absolutely.
Can I just say something very quickly? Last night at the awards, I saw you come up and sit next to Sam, and he put his arm around you. And you know what? It was a beautiful moment. Just the two of you. You're so gorgeous together. Honestly, you really are. Just wanted to embarrass you both.
Well, thank you.
You can't embarrass me.
Well done.
I'll take it. I love it.
It really was a beautiful moment. I was just awestruck. I was just, that's so cute, so lovely.
Thank you, really, from the bottom of my heart, for you to say that and see that. And I know you're an observer. I'm an observer too. And I think you and I share something in common where we can feel something else that's happening. You kind of absorb it, the good and the bad. And I think we're both the same when it comes to that. You are truly a wonder, Amy. I think anybody that's lucky enough to have worked with you, met you, to know you, and I really think we ought to get that audiobook deal sorted for you soon.
Yeah, maybe. I keep thinking about that. Actually, it's too big a project for me, honestly.
Yes.
I can't stand
and you actually have a day job.
You like my voice. I hate it, but it was ruined by a puberty I never asked for.
Maybe you're just not hearing it in the same way that we are. You should never. Maybe. Whenever I hear my voice back, it's equally as awful. I think that's a really, really big thing. Now, there's a tradition on the show that I'd be in very big trouble for not upholding, and that is what we call the magic wand. It sounds weird when I say it. John makes it sound cool. But if you had a magic wand in our industry, what would you use it for?
I would use a magic wand to make the decisions that need to be made, the bold, brave decisions that need to be made, easy. And I'd want the money to be available to make them work as well. You know, that we have everything we need. We have the tools we need to change the situation with the climate. But we need bold, brave, expensive action to make it work. So my magic wand would be to just facilitate all of those ideas and all those tools and make it happen now.
What about you, Sam? What's your magic wand or final thought?
I honestly don't think I can better that. I mean, it's just we just got to get on and do it, haven't we? And as Amy quite rightly said, the tools are there. We've got to, it's just a case of everybody. Many hands do like work. We just need to all push and pull or whatever in the right direction together, and we absolutely can achieve the climate targets that we need to save this planet for the next generation, right? And that's what it boils down to. But the tools are there, so let's get on with it. Information, collaboration, sharing, showing, and then learning as you go. I think that's the sort of secret formula for my cauldron of success to go with my magic wand. I don't think there is one thing that the magic wand can provide. What's so heartening is, and I hope that listeners have enjoyed this episode, there are many, many more like this. We're nearing 100 wonderful people that have come on to share in not only what they're doing, but what they're going to do. What are they going to progress to make sure that this industry is as we expect? Amy, I could talk to you all day, but we mustn't. We must thank you for your time. Congratulations for all that you've learned this year and moving into next year too. Any final thoughts from you, wonderful Amy?
Just that it's been a pleasure to be on this podcast. I've actually secretly wanted to be on this podcast since the first episode I heard, because I love you guys, honestly. EV Café team are like my favourite people in the world, honestly. So thank you very much for the privilege of being on this podcast, and for all the work you're doing to promote EV across this industry.
Likewise, and thank you, Sam, for taking time out of your day and time out of my day. We do this because we care. Any closing thoughts from you? Nothing other than say, Amy, you're inspiration to keep doing what you're doing. Well done.
Thank you, Sam.
Super. Right, you can find us on all the social channels. Please do like and share. That is how we spread the word. And we will soon be moving into our next episode. So it's a huge thanks from me, Amy, and to you, Sam. Bye for now.